Not bad at all. 3 out of 4 is good, man. You know, as much as the Yankees are hot, if they were to take 2 out of 4, they still wouldn't have lost the series. So statistically, that was okay. But it would have felt wrong because the White Sox played such bad baseball, and the Yankees felt like they were playing so much better than them all series. That I feel like a 3 out of 4 was much needed, and it's great to do it. So we're hot, and we're going to talk about it in this episode 368. Let's get to it. This is RJ Carbone, and you're listening to BD4.
This one by Mattingly. Oh, hang on to the roof. Good. The Rose. He shook up the world again. Anthony for 3. Bang! That one goes down. And the game is tied.
See ya. A monster home run. Back-to-back home runs by the baby Bombers.
Penetrates, creates, and shows some dexterity as well with the left hand.
It's on its way. There it goes. And the Yankees are going for the win. Oh, it's good. Off the window. Oh, Jimmy Barrett. Unbelievable. The first punch he threw. Houston ducks under. Got it. With a chance left. It's time. Yankees win. Yankees win.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the show. Welcome to the podcast, episode 368 of BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. We also do MMA now, too. Yankees every series, Knicks every game, MMA on the weekends. The Yankees just took 3 out of 4 from the Chicago White Sox. Now, we split this series in half here on the podcast. We did an episode after the first 2 games where the Yankees took that 2-0. And then we just, and now we're doing the episode of the latter 2 games where they split. So they took 3 out of 4 overall. Now 25 wins on the season, just 9 losses. Now 18 wins in 21 games. Look at that. 18-3, that is, in the Yankees' last 21 games. It's just remarkable. They go on an 11-game streak. That ends. They go right back on a 5-game streak. That ends, and then they bounce back immediately with the victory. And hopefully a lot more because we have a big week ahead if we can take advantage of the schedule here with four more against the Orioles at Camden Yards. But yep, we're going to talk about this series, this Yanks-White Sox series. The Yankees win. So welcome to the show. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. And again, you are listening to episode 368 of BD4. Thanks for joining. I was going to say thanks for tuning in and joining at the same time, and it kind of came out. Thanks for joining the podcast and listening in. Of course, if you want to listen to the podcast and you have not subscribed yet, be sure to subscribe if you feel so. And if you want to download these episodes, be sure to do that as well. You know where to find the show on all the listening platforms. You can also watch the video format of this podcast, which is located now on Spotify and also YouTube. Some breaking news here for those of you who do follow my blog. The website hasn't been down for me, at least the last couple of months, but it's finally back up. So the good news is we will start blogging again. I'm going to try to do, an article every series, kind of like we do with the podcast. So if I'm around and available to do a series recap tomorrow morning, I should have one out tomorrow. There's definitely going to be one out before the game on at 7 tomorrow night. But, excuse me. So on ultimatesportsnetworks.com, if you're new here, I have a blog I write for them. It's called the Bomber Bacher blog. So if you go to ultimatesportsnetworks.com and put into the search bar the Bomber Bacher blog, you will find my blog. If you want to subscribe to my blog, the Bomber Bacher blog, be sure to do so using promo code 6A2841ERJC. This way, you get a discount, 10% off everything. So we write Yankees and Knicks content on there. So I was just watching some of the NBA games. The Bucks Celtics game took place earlier today. The Suns Dallas game just finished up. And, dude, 2 Game 7s entering today. You were thinking they were going to be very exciting. And they're both blowouts. They're both blowout losses, pretty boring losses. It's the Milwaukee Bucks, the reigning champs, getting knocked out. And it's also, shockingly, the Phoenix Suns getting knocked out of the tournament by the Mavericks tonight. Dude, for the Bucks, it just never felt right. It always felt like this season they were a step behind from what they were last year. And obviously the Chris Middleton injury, I'm sure that took a big toll on them. But yeah, it sucks for them. I was watching that game. I had some money on it. Of course, I did not cash in that bet. That's always fun to not win bets. I do that often. And then, credit to the Celtics. Props to them. I mean, for the Celtics, they were this mediocre, underachieving team for a while, right? Felt like that during Brad Stevens' last couple of seasons. This guy, Udoka, comes in. He shakes up the playbook. They look a lot better, but there's still some questions early on. Tatum and Brown, can they play together? And then they get really hot to finish out the season, and then they are on a roll right now in playoffs. And I would not be shocked if they found a way to beat Miami, but you all know Miami has been my sleeper pick from the Eastern Conference from day one. So look out for the Heat, because they could definitely make that a good series. For the Suns, man, Jesus Christ. I mean, this team looked like you could not beat them. They looked like they were a lock to at least make it to the finals. But unfortunately, one of their best players is, nearing 40 soon? I know he's at least in his mid-30s, and Chris Paul, he's battling injuries. He might have to get some surgery. I don't know what the deal is. He's always nursing something, and that's unfortunate. Booker didn't show up, at least for the first half when the game mattered. Yeah, it sucked to see them go out like this, because I just kept telling my buddy, it's the Suns. You guys are dominant. You're going to beat the Mavericks. There's no way this isn't a sweep. And the Mavericks take them to 7 and very impressively blow the shit out of them. I think they were up by 46 points in Arizona tonight. So, but we're here to talk baseball. I'm going to talk Yankees in a second. First, we're going to head to break, and when we get back, we'll start this show. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Hey guys, so I've noticed that only a small portion of you who watch BD4 on YouTube are actually subscribed. So if you do enjoy this podcast and maybe you want to be notified when new episodes release, I'd consider subscribing and also hitting that notification bell. This way we can help the channel grow and you won't miss a single episode of BD4. Alright, let's get back to it. Welcome back to the show. You're listening to episode 368 of BD4. Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, rjcarbone. I was going around the league in the MLB, and I came across a headline. The Pittsburgh Pirates got no hit tonight versus the Cincinnati Reds, who have been terrible all season. Here's the catch. The Reds lost the game. I mean, if that's not the most 2022 Cincinnati Reds thing in the world, I don't know what is. What's worse, getting no hit and winning, or pitching a no-hitter and taking the loss? Now, was this, I don't know if it was a combined no-hitter. I haven't checked the box score, or if it was an actual individual no-hitter. I do know Hunter Green pitched for the Reds. That's the dude who throws 105, I believe. But I don't know if it was him for 9 innings. I'd have to check. But that's got to suck. To be able to pitch a no-hitter and lose the game. Oh my gosh. Jesus. I got a buddy that's a Pirates fan. Interesting night for him. Because he had his team gets no hit, but they win, and then he's also a Pittsburgh Penguins fan who just lost Game 7 of the playoffs. I don't know if it was the first round. I don't watch hockey, but to the Rangers. I did tune in to that overtime, which was pretty cool. Kind of wish I still watched hockey. It's a fun sport when you get into it. I like sports where scoring is not often, because when it happens, it's more exaggerated. Used to be baseball. Remember the old 4-2 scores? Now you got 2 touchdowns to 1 touchdown. You got 15-7 like we saw in the first game of this set. So the Yankees, let's talk about them before we waste any more of your time. Of course, like I said at the top of the show, in episode 367, we discussed the first 2 games of the series, which the Yanks took. So go check out 367 if you want to watch, or if you want to hear some of my takes from the first half of this series. So for this episode, 368, we're going to be talking about games 3 and 4, which took place Saturday, Sunday. So let's talk about game 1. But first, let's start this episode up with our NYY-NYK-MMA question of the day. Do a little trivia. All right, welcome back to the show. So for episode 368, 368, our NYY-NYK-MMA question of the day is: true or false? David Cohn's perfect game in 1999 was his only start of the season where he did not allow an earned run. True or false? David Cohn's perfect game in 1999 was his only start of the season where he did not allow an earned run. Alright, so let me know the answer wherever you can reach me. If you get it correct, I'll give you a shout out. If you get it incorrect, but you at least attempt to guess the answer, I'll let you know what the answer is in the next episode. One last time, true or false? David Cohn's perfect game in 1999 was his only start of the season where he did not allow an earned run. Is that true or false? All right. So with that out of the way, let's talk about it. Let's get to game 3 of this series against the White Sox. All right, so yeah, man, good win. Definitely a good win. Or no, this was a loss. Oh yeah, this was the game when they came back and lost. Okay, they lost this one 2-1. The Yankees on Saturday night. It was Montgomery versus Keuchel. Now, if I look down occasionally, it's because I have my notes in paper today. I'm not reading them off my tablet. I don't want to use too much of the CPU because that's how it sometimes gets choppy at the end of the show. at least the video format of the show. So I'm reading them on paper tonight. But so if you see me looking down here and there, that's why. But this game, top of the first inning, you had the DJ LeMahieu leadoff single, but nothing happened there. Judge struck out, and then Rizzo bounced into the double play. Bottom of the first, Jordan Montgomery struggles, 26 pitches in the inning. I know last year he was a slow starter too. It took him a bit to find his pitches. Now he's got so many pitches that's probably a reason why. But this start at least kind of resembles last year where he struggled out the gate. Tim Anderson picked up a leadoff base hit, and then you had later on the 1-out RBI base hit from Luis. Is it Luis Robert? Because I think Kay says like the Americanized versions of everybody's name, but I'm pretty sure it's not Robert. It's Luis Robert. He gets the 1-out RBI base hit on the 10th pitch of the at bat. It was a little bit of a hanging changeup, and then it's 1-0 Chicago after the first frame. Top of the second, you get the Stanton leadoff double. You get the Gallo 2-out walk, but I think that was it. The Yankees stranded them both. Bottom of the second, nice bounce back from Montgomery. A quick 14-pitch 1-2-3 inning for the left-hander. Yanks go 1-2-3 in the third. Bottom of the third, Montgomery gets bit again. He leaves a fastball up to Moncada for a dead center field home run. It's 2-0 Chicago, and it was that way for a while. Top of the fourth, the Yankees strand a Stanton 1-out base hit. Bottom of the fourth, Monty, another good inning, gets the line out, couple of walks in there, but then gets a double play to escape the frame. Top of the fifth inning, IKF, a 1-out base hit. DJ and Judge then draw some 2-out walks, get the mound visit, so the bases are loaded. Yankees down 2. Rizzo takes the plate as the leading run, and he grounds out to end the inning. Bottom of the fifth, Montgomery strikes out Moncada, and he walks Luis Robert. 3 walks for Monty on the night, and then he's pulled for Schmidt right there. And Clark Schmidt, called up just recently, gets the job done. Monty goes 4 innings and a third. We will get to him. Keuchel goes 5 innings, 4 hits, no runs. Man, for some reason, I had a feeling, like with Keuchel, he used to be a Yankee killer in his earlier days with the Astros, but then we kind of solved him. We found a solution to hit him, and obviously these last couple of seasons, this season in particular, he's kind of been washed. Not the same pitcher at least, and I feel like a soft thrower like him at his end, I feel like it was the perfect matchup for the Yankee lineup. But I also felt like it was so perfect that it was one of those things where it may have been too perfect and the Yankees weren't going to hit him. And that's kind of exactly what happened. So he goes 5 innings. The Yankees don't do much off him. Top of the sixth, Donaldson versus Graveman. He draws a 1-out walk, but then Glaber hits into a double play. Bottom of the sixth, Schmidt, another good inning from him. He goes 1-2-3. Top of the seventh, the Yankees go down 1-2-3 on 10 pitches. Bottom of the seventh, Schmidt lets up a couple of base hits, but he works out of it. And then the top of the eighth, the Yankees threaten. They do threaten, but they do not do enough. Or was that the inning where they did do enough? No, I don't think they scored that inning. I think it was... Let's see, I have... Oh, yeah, Judge and Rizzo draw a couple of 1-out walks versus Joe Kelly. So you got runners on the corners for Stanton, who drops in an RBI base hit. Exit velo, folks. That's twice. That was twice in this game where Stanton hits a ball and it's like 70-something off the bat, right? We're so used to the 100-something mile an hour hits from him. 70-something off the bat. That's when Joe Kelly is pulled for Liam Hendricks. Hendricks in a 2-1 game. You see Rizzo swipe third base here, and then this is during the Donaldson at bat. Rizzo swipes third, but you have Hicks, who stays at first for some reason, not aware. I don't know what he was doing, but a very Hicks moment. So you've got first and third with 1 out now for the Yankees, and then that's when Donaldson flops against Hendricks, and he goes down swinging behind a fastball. Then Hicks takes second base, but that's when Gleyber Torres then strikes out. He also goes down swinging. Bottom of the 8th comes, and the Yankees, get good pitching. You got Clay Holmes in the game, and he gets 2 quick outs, then a base hit, but then he strikes out Adam Engel. Top of the 9th comes, and that's when the Yankees, that lineup just continuing to display their gigantic balls. Yeah, I mean, shit. Like, I get they lost the game, but the lineup just shows you how resilient they are. Gallo draws a walk on a very close call for ball 4, puts together a great at-bat. IKF slaps a base hit the other way for first and third with no outs for Kyle Higashioka. Now I'm sitting here thinking, oh, great, it's Higgy. Higgy's not known for his bat. Higgy's been terrible all season with the bat. And then he goes down 0-2 very briefly, so I'm thinking, great, this is definitely not going to end well. And, nevertheless, he ends up putting the bat on the ball, and he puts together a big sac fly. The thing is, while it was nice that he put decent wood on it and tied the game at 2, at the same time, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, just with a completely boneheaded decision to try and advance to third base on that fly ball. So the whole idea of trying to take second base there to avoid the double play don't matter because we end up getting doubled up anyway. I don't know if IKF was trying to bait the throw, but Gallo was not getting thrown out there by any chance. But IKF, it was dumb. You've got DJ LeMahieu coming up the very next at bat. So you'd be on second base for him. All he needs to do is slap a single to right field, and you're in. You have Judge after that. One swing. There's 2 runs on the board right there. I don't know what he was thinking, but it was a very dumb decision by him. And unfortunately, that was not even the worst part of the night. The worst part of the night was also a pretty predictable part of the night, to be honest. In the bottom of the 9th, Chapman, a notorious choker, does his usual, and he chokes. He gets the 9-hitter to fly out to Aaron Hicks, but then the lineup flips, and you go back to Tim Anderson. And, this is when I knew, in my opinion, this is when I knew, first of all, I knew he was getting a hit there no matter what. He does. And then I knew the game was over because as soon as Anderson gets on base, he's going to attempt to steal. And when Aroldis Chapman has guys on base, we see how it lets him rattle. It lets it rattle him. And it obviously did. Anderson getting the lead, just a complete threat to go. Chapman can't find the zone. He walks the number 2 hitter because he's clearly rattled with Anderson on first base. He's not going to his splitter, which has worked well for him, and he's kind of abandoning it this year. And he's just misfiring everything. Then he gives up the walk-off base hit to the number 3 hitter, who was it, Luis Robert, and that was the game. The Yankees lost, and Chapman did it again. Listen, I've never been the biggest fan of Chapman as a baseball player. Even as a human being, I think he and Domingo Germán should be picking up trash on the interstate right now. But as a closer, it's not been great for Chapman these last couple years, and I've been a big fan of wanting somebody else in there. Entering the season, I've been advocating for. I wanted Johnny Lasagna. I don't know that I want that now, but I think the way Clay Holmes has pitched, maybe he deserves it. But I mean, it's really bad right now for Chapman. It's like right now maybe you can get away with just closing him and you hope that was just a fluke. But if we're talking playoffs, this is not a guy I want pitching for the Yankees in those spots. I'm sorry, the taste in my mouth from the last couple seasons, just the way the seasons are ending, him giving up big hits, no thank you. How many times do we have to see it? He's older now. He's 34. His command seems to have gotten worse. In fact, I saw a stat after the game. He has now walked 36 batters in his last 42 innings. What the hell? So, Clay Holmes, Wandy Peralta, Michael King, pick one. But I would prefer Holmes. But, holy fuck, that scared the shit out of me. Fucking, we're gonna keep that part in there just for shits. The wire just like was on the edge of the table. It just fell off. It was the corner of my eye. I'm just thinking it's like a rat or some shit. I don't know what the fuck's going on. Oh my fuck, that scared me. But yeah, I don't know. Don't want him in there. He's not the guy for me. And it's unfortunate because he's going to continue to be their closer, at least for the regular season, because I just feel like his name and his contract is going to keep him in that spot, definitely. But if you're Aaron Boone, first of all, I don't know why he was in that game. It's a 2-2 game. Not sure why he was pitching. Also, why wasn't anybody warming up? Because, Aaron Boone often, when Chapman gets in trouble, will start throwing somebody. Didn't happen. And so the Yankees lose. But, as bad as that was, the lineup, in my opinion, was the main culprit of this game. They could not get the job done. The Yankees just 2 runs on 9 hits, an extra base hit, 4 walks, 8 strikeouts, grounded into 2 double plays, went 1 for 8 in scoring position, and left 8 men on base. Stanton leads with 3 hits, an RBI, with Higgy also leading with RBIs with 1, and Stanton gets the extra base hit to lead the team. All but 2 Yankees, I believe it was Glaber and Higashioka, had reached base that game. And, yeah, sorry, just trying to pull it up here. He had an RBI. Oh, Higgy. Higgy also led with RBIs with 1. And then Stanton had an extra base hit in there. All but 2 Yankees, Glaber and Higashioka, reached base. Again, Higgy got that sac fly. DJ, Judge, and IKF were the other 3 Yankees to reach base 2 times or more. Yeah, like I said, the Yanks lineup is a nightmare lineup for Keuchel at this point in his career, which is why I felt like he was, due to have a good outing against them. One of those too good to be true things. What else this game? Glaber's at-bats look like they are improving. Rizzo is in a big slump to where I was kind of questioning, should he still be batting 3 as a 220 hitter at the moment? But then I'm like, well, we don't really have another 3 hitter if you take Rizzo away from the 3 spot. It is kind of Judge, but they're not going to move. Judge is the staple as the 2. And I kind of don't want to mess with anything right now. So I would just keep him at the 3 and hope that he can turn it around soon enough, because he has been on a bender for a bit. Did get the hit this game, to kind of start that rally. But for a while, he's been hitting pretty brutal. Pitching-wise, Montgomery gives you 4 1/3, 6 hits, 2 runs, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts in this game. 1 home run allowed, 86 pitches thrown. Again, it was a pretty uninspiring, out-of-rhythm effort for Montgomery. The body language was kind of off all game. He was working slow throughout the game. Couldn't find the zone early. Like I said, like he usually does that. But like he usually does, he was, he wasn't this time. He wasn't getting first pitch strikes at the same rate. There was one point in the game where he only had half of the batters he faced throwing first pitch strikes too. So, whatever. I think he said in the post game that he didn't have a single pitch working for him. The curve especially. If you're watching that game, it didn't really look sharp. Hence the even distribution between all of his pitches. I was listening to Talking Yanks, and they said he threw his curve 20% of the time, his four-seamer 24%, his changeup 25%, and his sinker ball 29%. So they were all pretty much close together in terms of the amount he used each of those pitches. Usually he'll lean on 1 or 2 a lot more than the bottom 2. But I'm sure, some of this is part of that. He's just sick and tired of getting no run support. He's tired of the BS. The Yankees literally do not score for this kid. Yes Network showed a graphic during the middle of the telecast saying that the Yankees have not scored more than 2 runs this season for him yet. That was his 7th start. That's pretty gross. So I think I had a bet with my buddy in a preseason episode that Montgomery would have over 12.5 wins by the end of the year. He's got 0 wins, guys, and it's May 15th as I record. Jesus Christ. But I guess the good thing is he continues to pitch well, right? If that was a bad start for Montgomery, 4 1/3, 2 runs allowed, you'll take it. And the bullpen, I feel like we just discussed that about Chapman. Defensively, pretty garbage lately. In this one, Glaber dropped 2 pickoff attempts. The first one, he definitely could have had him. But he dropped 2 pickoff attempts, both by Jordan Montgomery. And, pretty sloppy there. But other than that, it was a good loss. Like the Yankees aren't losing a ton of games this year in blowouts. Like the games they lose, they could have easily won. So I guess that's the positive, is the Yankees continue to win games, and the games that they lose, they barely lose. Not to sound like I'm getting soft on them, but like that's the sign of a good team, a team who knows what they're doing, right? And that was the third game of the set. We're going to talk about Game 4, the final game of this set, when we return from break. Stay with us. We'll be right back. So, if you guys want to follow me on social media, be sure to do so right now. I'm on Facebook at rjcarbone, and I'm also on Instagram at rjcarbone. Once again, if you want to find me on Facebook, that is rjcarbone. Instagram at robjcarbone. So BD4 is on so many platforms to listen to. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud. You can listen to us on Spotify. You can find us on our sponsor, Anchor, and many other listening platforms as well, wherever you get your podcast. But we are also available to watch on YouTube. So if you want to watch us on YouTube, go subscribe there. But if you prefer to listen to us, again, many listening platforms. Just be sure to subscribe, download, give us a rating, a review, comment, share the podcast, and all that fun stuff. This is BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. All right, folks. Now, if you are listening to BD4 on Apple Podcasts, be sure to give us a 5-star rating and a review, if you so please. So once again, this is if you are listening to BD4 on Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star rating and review. Thank you. All right, so welcome back to the show. I'm your host, RJ Carbone, and you are listening to episode 368 of BD4. So the Yankees took this one. They took the final game of this 4-game set to make it 3 out of 4. They won 5-1. You had nasty Nestor Cortes going up against solid young pitcher Michael Kopech. It's the kid that the Boston Red Sox traded along with Moncada for Chris Sale at the time. Top of the second, the Yankees cracked the board first. Always like to see them score early. With 2 outs, we end up getting 3 runs off of walks. Joey Gallo walks. IKF slaps a base hit to left field. Hicks and DJ both walk with the bases loaded to bring a couple of runs in. It's 2-0. Michael Kopech was not even near the zone for a lot of this inning. So, some luck of the whatever there. I don't know. Some luck there. I was trying to find some kind of play on word or pun to use. But then you get the wild pitch to Aaron Judge, which also scores a run. Trevino comes home, and it's 3-0 Yankees. Bottom of the third, Nestor is just cruising out there with the almost immaculate third inning. I think he would have become the first pitcher in MLB history to pitch 2 immaculate innings in one season. I'm just totally guessing, but I'm pretty sure nobody has done that. He strikes out McGuire Anderson and Harrison. I think Harrison, who was the middle batter of the inning, that at-bat went 4 pitches. I think he fouled the pitch off. But, yeah, he was good. Kopech then rediscovered his fastball after that one bad inning in the second. And he ended up going 6 innings, 3 runs for a quality start. We'll talk about him. Nestor. We'll talk about Nestor in a second. But Kopech ended up pitching a quality start. They said on Yes Network that after the 4 walks, or I think it was 3 walks in the second inning, after the second inning, that Kopech and the White Sox pitchers ended up retiring 21 Yankees in a row. So it was pretty brutal. And you know, they only had 2 hits overall in the entire game anyway, so they weren't really doing jack offensively outside of that second inning. Even in the second inning, like I said, it was mainly walks. So Kopech was perfect outside the second inning. But yeah, top of the 7th comes. The Yanks do nothing off of Bill Burr. Top of the 8th, Lopez is in, still nothing. And the bottom of the 8th comes, and you have the solo home run by, I don't know who it was. I think it was Engel. Top of the 9th, Ruiz in. The Yanks finally tack on, though. Finally get back on the board. Entering the Gallo at bat. They were getting 1 hit by Chicago. But Donaldson walks, and that brings up Gallo. He takes the plate. It's a 2-2 count. He spits on a fastball. It's 3-2. And then he goes yard on another fastball, jacking one out for the 5-1 lead. It was good to get some insurance runs in there. Bottom of the 9th, we saw Clay Holmes come into the game and close it out. Gets a bunch of ground balls, and yeah, he does the job. That sinker, man. Listen, like I said, give me Holmes. If you're going to close the game, give me Holmes. You know, I hope this is what they do, at least down the stretch. You know, if they're not going to do it right now, if Chapman continues to struggle, I would love for Clay Holmes to get these opportunities. I want my closer to throw strikes and keep the ball on the ground, right? And Clay Holmes does both. Obviously, he's got that sinker, which sits at 99. That shit's disgusting. And he gets ground balls because of that. And he pounds the zone. And he limits home runs. Like, he's the guy I want closing. He's the anti-Aroldis Chapman, somebody with command. And, you know, they did say preseason, if you remember, they did say that Chapman's going to see a lot more 8th inning setup innings this season. So just keep that in mind. Nestor Cortes, though. I mean, he was obviously, Nestor Cortes was the story of this game, as he usually is in games he pitches, right? 1 second. He was amazing. And Nestor Cortes is actually... He's actually, I think I was looking at the leaderboards, and he's leading the American League in earned run average after today. He's just dominating. 8 innings, okay? And as you can see on the screen, that was the only run allowed there, was that solo slap. And he was getting hit hard that inning. He was getting hit hard. I really wanted him to go 9, but, you know, he was getting a little bit slapped around a bit, so I was like, all right, maybe 8. We'll stop there and call it a night. But he goes 8 strong innings, allows 3 hits only, 1 run, does not walk a batter, strikes out 7, 1 home run allowed, just that homer there, and 99 pitches. Yeah, it's just like, you know, usually when pitchers throw a no-hitter, or not throw a no-hitter, but usually when they come off a really good outing like that, or they flirt with a no-hitter, sometimes you'll see them, whoops, I got the wrong graphic up. You know what? Give me 1 second here. I actually forgot to make the 3 graphics, the 2 featured players, the 2 featured position players of the series, and the starting pitcher, the featured starting pitcher of the series. I didn't make the graphics for them. Or I forgot to download them onto the software, but I'll just read them off anyway. Nestor Cortes is our featured starting pitcher, as I said. He went 8 innings, allowed 1 run. You know, usually, like I was saying, as if you come off an outing where you pitch a no-hitter or you were very close to getting one, I feel like the next outing for that pitcher is kind of more of a mediocre to below average outing. Obviously, that wasn't the case. I mean, to go 8 innings, forget the impressive part, just him doing his thing. It's great that we saved the bullpen, right? We only had to use Clay Holmes, who barely threw any pitches in the ninth there. But yeah, and it's just one more lineup that Nestor Cortes does damage against. This is a good lineup in the White Sox. They've got good hitters, not the most disciplined hitters. They're going up there, they're not going to get cheated. They're going to hack, but it's a good lineup, and he made them look like a youth baseball lineup. He did, and he was generating ground balls. He only had 7 strikeouts, which, for him, I guess that's below average this season for him. But he's getting a lot of ground balls to the left side. He and Donaldson, the best 1-2 in the game. I mean, how many ground balls was Donaldson getting? He had at least 6. But yeah, his defense today, Josh Donaldson, was tremendous. There was that diving stop in one of the later innings there. Gets up and makes a rocket of a throw. He's got a laser of an arm. And it's funny because right before that diving play happened, I was joking. Well, not joking. I was talking to my brother, and I'm like, who do you think's the better defensive shortstop? Metrics aside, because I know the metrics aren't the most kind to Gio. I'm like, do you think the eye test, talking the eye test, do you think it's Gio? Do you think it's Josh? And I'm like, you know what? I feel like Gio was more athletic, but Josh, I haven't seen him misplay a play yet. And as soon as I say Gio was a lot more athletic, Donaldson goes and makes that play. He's definitely got the stronger arm. I was a little concerned about the arm because I know one of the seasons, I think it was his last with Toronto or maybe before he left the Twins, remember he couldn't make the throw to first for a while. There was something wrong with the arm. But you go watch his highlights of today. He was displaying that arm strength. But yeah, Cortes has been amazing. And cliche alert, Nestor Cortes is a pitcher, not a thrower. You hear that all the time, but this is one of those moments where it's very, very true. He knows how to pitch. He paints the black. He was getting some respect calls today that could have went either way. But yeah, he was on the edges, in the corners, doing his thing, and he very well deserved this featured starting pitcher of this series recognition tonight. Offensively, the Yankee bats produced 5 runs on 2 hits, 1 extra base hit, 5 walks, 6 strikeouts, 0 for 1 in scoring position, just 2 left on base. Can't strand many runners when you don't put many on to begin with. It was actually pretty impressive that they were able to compile 5 runs with how trash that offense was today. So shout out to Joey Gallo for getting them to 5 at the end there. But yeah, the 2 featured players of this series, you got to look at Giancarlo Stanton as one of them. He had 8 hits this series, a bunch of RBIs, bunch of extra base hits in there. He's got the second best batting average on the Yankees. The second best batting average on the Yankees is Giancarlo Stanton. And I think because obviously he's going to hit you home runs, but he's got a lot of singles in there too. So he's only got 1 double, no triples. So when he's not hitting the home run, he's getting some singles in there, mixing it up. Judge is hot too. Judge had a good series. So he had that 456-foot shot, didn't he? So yeah, I love what I'm seeing from both of them. When they're both hot at the same time, you're gonna see some run lines like you're seeing. You're going to see 15-7. You're going to see 10 runs after you score 50. You're going to see a lot of that. I mean, these guys are just so ridiculously powerful. I know I joke all the time about how exit velocity is so, it's everywhere now and it's annoying, but the amount of exit velocity these two generate, it's different than a lot of other players in this league. I mean, it's another level of hitting it hard. So it's fun. When they're both hot at the same time, it is a joy. I don't think there's anybody better to watch than when Judge and Stanton get hot for the Yankees. So, yeah, I mean, what else do we have here? Like I said, Gleyber continuing to put up good at-bats. Now, I was listening to Talkin' Yanks, and John Boy was saying something that I thought was very, very true. How, like, Gleyber Torres, he's already clutch, right? And that's the reason why he's pinch hitting a lot. But now, some of this, if you look at the splits, and they'll tell you he's mashing lefties, and he's not hitting very great against righties. And the reason, it's like the Yanks are going to see that, see how clutch he's been. They're going to see how great he's been against lefties, and they might use that against him as a starter. So it's kind of unfortunate that Gleyber's been clutch and mashing lefties, because it's like a lose-lose for him. And they might just try and keep him as a pinch hitter instead of playing him every day. Like that's kind of working against him. I thought that was a good point he brought up. What else do we have down here? Lasagna, I wanted to bring up. He kind of gets hit around a bit this series. Allows a run in one of the earlier games of the series. In 14 games this year, he's allowed a base runner in 10 of those. It's not looking good right now. I don't know. He's getting hit hard. He's getting hit very hard. A lot of hard line drives against Lasagna. A lot of bombs when he allows a home run. That two-seam in particular is not the same. It's getting shelled. I don't know. Command, his velocity is down a tick. Maybe he's hurt. I don't know. Maybe he's tipping his pitches. But right now it's not good for Lasagna. Other than that, him and Chapman, the pitching's been very solid. And like we were just saying, the bats have been tremendous. Even guys like Joey Gallo has been swinging the bat better of late. He's hitting more singles lately. Talked about Stanton hitting singles, but Joey Gallo's hitting singles. 12 of his 17 hits on the year are singles. And I want to talk a little more about that when we get back from break. Stay with us. We will be right back. Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying this episode. But first, I also want to let you know I have another blog. The blog I'm writing for is on ultimatesportsnetworks.com, titled The Bomber Bacher Blog. If you want to go subscribe to this blog, you should do so using my promo code 6A2841ERJC. Using that, you'd get a discount, $7.99 a month, to get the best Knicks and Yankees opinionated content around. Once again, guys, the Bomber Bacher Blog on ultimatesportsnetworks.com, using promo code 6A2841ERJC, $7.99 a month. Alright, welcome back to the show. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. You're listening to episode 368 of the podcast, BD4. So we were saying, Joey Gallo, of his 17 hits this season, 12 of them are singles. Now, I like that. And why I like that? Because I feel like with Gallo, the power is always going to be there with him. He's going to find a way to hit at least 30 jacks. But if he starts adding in more singles, the most frequent type of hits of the 4 hits, if he starts adding that in there, then maybe that batting average, that on-base percentage, trends towards more of a respectable number and not a number that makes me want to kill myself. You know, I mean, that would be nice. You know, a lot of his hits too, a lot of those singles are going the other way. Some of his home runs have been the other way. Now, John Boy was also saying on Talking Yanks when I was listening earlier that he had 5 non-bunt opposite field singles all of last season. He had 5. He's already got 5 of those this season. Non-bunt other way singles. So I don't know, man. Is it something where like he realizes that the shift is going to be gone next season and he's starting to adjust so he can be a better, batting average / on base percentage guy? Or Is it the latter? Is it that 4 outfield shift in particular? Is that kind of taking away those doubles? Or are we just reading way too much into it? And this is just Gallo on a decent stretch? I don't know. But yeah, heading into today, so this is excluding today's game where he was 1 for 3. He's batting .267 with a .933 OPS in his last 16 games. So again, that excludes today where he walked, homered, and had 2 RBIs. So good for him. Listen, if I'm going to ragdoll Gallo and treat him like Gary Sanchez when he is not hitting, I'm going to do what I did with Gary when Gary hit. I'm going to give him credit. And so right now, I will definitely give props to Joey Gallo for turning it around. Josh Donaldson has also swung the bat a little better lately, right? This series for Donaldson, he had... Did he have 2 home runs? I think he had 2 home runs. I know he had a double in there. 6 RBIs. And he batted .294 in these 4 games. His OPS is now sitting in the mid-700s. And like we were just saying, his defense has been good all year. If Josh Donaldson could be a guy who could at least hover around 250 and touch 800 with the OPS, I like I've said at the start of the season, I would take that and run with it. Speaking of Donaldson, man, Tim Anderson. Is there a player who's softer in baseball than Tim Anderson? I'm going to try to make this extremely short because I don't want to rant on it again. Between the tag the other night, complaining that he was tagged too hard, he pushed me off the bag, boo-hoo. And then this was a little less extreme, but the slide, what was it, the Game 3 slide, kind of confronts Donaldson a bit, trying to show him. It's like, dude, what? But that's why I love Donaldson. That's why we have Donaldson. You know, get that guy who plays with that competitive edge. Who can trigger other ball players. That's exactly part of the reason Cashman made that deal, I guarantee you. So I love the culture change, right? I love that culture change that Donaldson has helped bring in. Rizzo brought, he's a big part of that culture change too. Good leader in that clubhouse. The guys like him in a very different way than Donaldson. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. There's not much to complain about right now. The Yankees are 25-9. 18-3 in their last 21 games, and we've got the Baltimore Orioles up next for 4 games at Camden Yards. 4 games. Now, I would like to sweep this team. That'd be great. I mean, we hear like the Orioles are playing better lately. They're not going to be as bad this year. I mean, they're 14-20. They're not very. I think they're 14-21. They're not very good. They're not good. They're bad. They're terrible. All right, there is still a team who needs to be the punching bag. So it'd be a hell of a job for the Yankees if they can continue to roll over teams and pick up their what could be their let's see, is it 7 series wins in a row? So hopefully they can make it 8. Hopefully we can sweep them. Nice fat 4-game sweep. So we'll see. That's it, guys. Thanks for tuning in. That's the show. RJ Carbone with episode 368 of BD4. 4-game set against the O's up next. We might do the same thing. Since it's a 4-game set, there's a good chance we'll split it in half like we just did with this White Sox series and do 2 episodes for this series, depending on how busy I get. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. You're listening to episode 368 of BD4, and I'll catch you in the next one. Ciao. This podcast is brought to you by Anchor. It's the best way to make a podcast. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm.